that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Salute the Cookie Monster and our money. And I said I'm not gonna do like last week where in order to do my videos, I've been needing a little time. I said I'm not gonna go last week to where I had so much content to do, but since I was working late and I try to stay within the time frame in which I normally typically go live when I go live. But man, I got a lot of content, man. I got a lot to drop, man. It's just time, man. Time, man. We trying to do some things, man, next weekend. So I've been burning the midnight oil, man, but I've been staying abreast of what's going on in the sport. And all I can really say, man, is sounding good. Okay, thanks for that mic check. I was worried about that Cookie Monster because they were tripping before I came on. My mic said my mic was unplugged. It's like StreamYard always kind of try to well, maybe I shouldn't speak bad about StreamYard. Maybe if I speak a little bit better about them, then I won't be having so many deficiencies. Because every time when I get done, they be like, how was it? I be giving it a funky ass thumbs down, man. But this is gonna be I don't know how long this was gonna be, man. It might not be that long, but I figure I might will give everybody something. A little something every day, as opposed to not giving them nothing at all for days at a time. Because it's not many voices of reason out here, man. It's always, man, I see the politics and so many people and read through so many people's BS, man. I'm like, oh my gosh. But again, I'm not complaining. I'm just making observations and coming out and doing my thing, so if you hear this on the playback, talk to me, I'll talk back. The the ongoing theme is always gaslighting, right? I'm not going to do a whole article. I am going to tell you the meaning. Gaslighting manipulate someone using psychological methods into questioning their own sanity or powers of reasoning. To give you an example, in the first episode, Karen Valentine is being gaslighted by her husband. And I'm guessing it happens all the time in marriage. It happens all the time in relationships. Even relationships where you think that you are going somewhere to have some realistic, common sense based, fact based boxing talk, and you're not getting it. You're getting a lot of people jockeying for more popularity, more clicks, more likes, more views, to ingratiate themselves to get interviews, which equate to money and super chats and all that. It's like some of us out here are trying to preserve the conversation around boxing. It's almost like how certain people try to reserve the etiquette around how matches are being made. Like typically there's discussions, there might be a little riffraff going on, a little call out, but just like when when we thought we was gonna get Spence versus Fundora. They actually got in the ring together. They took a picture. That's like the prelude. That's like the etiquette to it all. Like it's an order. And some of us kind of like that kind of order when it comes to boxing conversation, but it's the Wild Wild West. It is the Wild Wild West, man. So what I'm realizing is that it's like everybody's out for themselves. You know, nobody really trying to build. You know, it's almost like high school all over again. I graduated in 98. We in 2025. So I feel way out of sorts in, you know, in a lot of these online conversations because it's just like high school all over again, man. People jockeying for popularity, people siding with each other, people running around with shit, clicking up, doing all this dumb shit with people that they really don't give a fuck about. They really don't care about, but because they feel so comfortable, you know what I'm saying? They just settle in there. You know, and these people who get online, they have agendas because I believe that a lot of people in their personal lives, they're not able to really get that shit off in their personal lives. So they come online where they can be whatever they want to be. You know what I'm saying? I guess they took that slogan we had in the Army when they say be all you can be. I guess people get online and they really be all they can be online. You know, that's why I say I'm Michael Rogers. I'm the same. That's the same person you're gonna see at the fight. It's gonna be the same person you bump into at the grocery store. It's gonna be the same person that you see down at the tire shop. It's gonna be the same person that you might bump into at the 7-Eleven. You ain't. This is what you get. Me. You know, I've become accustomed with being me. You know, I can't put on. But that's just my little initial introduction, man. I hope everybody's doing well out there. And I just been watching and waiting. And I'm the type that when my favorite fighters, like a lot of them, you know, a lot of them has left us on red. A lot of them, they experience some kind of controversy inside the ring and then they go ghost on us. And that's the downfall of liking some of these guys and growing accustomed to watching and following along with some of these guys, that they go dark. So all you really have is social media and people who, you know, create narratives, spin narratives. They get crazy. They run with things. They, you know, they believe since they have large audiences, they could just put something out there. And to a certain extent, they get away with it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are at the mercy of, because it's only a couple people that be on all day, every day. It's only a couple people, so you kind of subject to whatever they got to say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they get interviews. Yeah, some people come by. You know, ultimately, a lot of the times, the interviews and other callers who are following along with the bouncing ball, who is not afraid to speak, sometimes that's the only real relativity and truth that you get from this boxing talk. So Tank, you know, everybody know Tank is one of my guys, you know, just like Mel, just like Spence, you know. Naoya is still one of my guys. Subriel still one of my guys. I had got away from Subriel and Naoya because over here I was being gaslit heavily. And I felt like a lot of the pieces that I was doing on them was getting used elsewhere. And for whatever reason, man, I couldn't really gain much traction other than the views, you know, online about it. And then I didn't want to feed nobody, man. I didn't want to give nobody no ideas and allow people to keep changing. So I kind of fell back on Naoya, kind of fell back on Subriel. And they still my guys. Kind of fell back on the Russells. But in regards to Tank, I know that's what everybody's here for, right? In regard to Tank, let me pull this up. I'm putting together the pieces myself. But here recently, right? I listened to this, man, and this is courtesy of, what's this, Marcos Villegas? But let's listen to this. Let's listen to this.
Is there any update at all, Bob, on the return of Vasily Lomachenko?
We're waiting to get the medical reports, and then we'll let everybody know.
So has he made his decision already? Like that he's going to
It's not
continue?
his decision, really.
Yeah.
It's whether will be physically able to perform the way he wishes and the way he wants to. And that's not something that your volition, that's something that the doctor tells you. You know, and he has to see how bad the back is. You know, there are a lot of issues that have nothing to do with his willingness to fight.
The Gervonta fight is still on the top of the list, right? If Lomachenko does come back and he's okay.
I don't know. Let's first see how the back is.
So that's Fight Hub.
Is there any update at all, Bob, on
That's Fight Hub, and that's Marcos Villegas. He do some of the more better. He is one of the more unbiased, most professional guys when it comes down to conducting interviews, not being messy. You can really tell that he cares about his image. He cares about the things that he put out and how it's positioned, and he don't antagonize, and he's real clear. Now he'll ask some he'll kind of dig in with some questions, but it's in the most professional way out of a lot of the people that's doing these interviews. And I always appreciate his interviews, man. Shout out to Marcos. And I always, like, when he was getting his plaques and all that, I'll send him a shout out, and it'd be genuine because you can tell that he puts in the work. He's a professional about his craft. He gets around to asking the questions, but it's in a classy way, man. He's one of the more classier people that we got. Definitely a great resource if you want to get that hot fire, you know, from an unbiased perspective. Somebody that's not gonna ask loaded questions and, you know, stuff like the stuff that they do, man. Sabotage, all those things. But I found it real interesting, man, because I see a lot of people coming out taking credit for talking about how, you know, how they told you about Bob and all this. I'm like, you know, and to me, I know it's gaslighting. I seen a couple channels doing this today. Ironically, I did this shit last night and they did it this morning. They were talking about it this morning, this noon, in the noon. And I'm like, man, everybody know, man, that it's always this jockeying for who said it first. The only thing is, man, some of this shit was already on wax. And you know why I know? The reason why I know is because when Bob came out, I'm telling you, it was a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. At least a year and a half ago when Bob came out and said it. And this was when everybody was talking about, when they were talking about PBC dealing with Prime. And I went ham online because Bob came out and he said, listen, it'll work. Because they asked him, do you think that, you know, there can be success with PBC working with Prime? Bob Arum said, yes, I do. He said, as long as they don't make every fight a pay-per-view fight, it can work. And he said, we know, because Naoya anyway was already doing Prime. And when I came out, I did a live, I did videos. I got to go back and track it because it's a lot of people out here, they love doing this stuff, acting like they were the first to do this. I don't care who's first. I do care that people do be lying, right? But I can give you the context behind it. And the reason why I was upset was because a lot of the perspectives where you go, if I can't sit around and do content every day, if I can't get the interviews every day, if I can't be at 9 different places at one time, I would like to, the places where I tap into, for them to be a little less biased. You know what I'm saying? We all know people got their favorites and all that. So I went ham online. I did a live and I went ham online and I said, listen, Bob said that PBC could be successful and that he could see them working with it. This was over a year and a half ago. And I said, yeah, but you won't catch nobody out here spreading this news. Why? Because it was easier and more convenient for people to be hating on the PBC. You know, nobody, because I can't take credit for it. I can't take credit for actually coming out online a year and a half ago saying this and telling this. Why are you bringing this up, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? everybody knows that Bob came out and he basically cracked the dam, right? I say that it was a little bit of kind of like a mission of guilt, you know, because we're not going to hear from Al, right? Anybody that's been expecting for Al to come out and, you know, get his Eddie Hearn on, I mean, you know, I wouldn't hold my breath. I wouldn't. But the reason why it's important is because Bob came out when he was asked the other day. He came out and basically said, he reiterated what he said a long time ago about them working together with the PBC. I say this in the mission of guilt because a lot of the conversations, a lot of people that mimic some of these major channels when they have their little group think tanks and they sit around and they talk, right? They mimic what the bigger channels say, right? So a lot of the times PBC get catch slander, Earl gets slander, Jamel Charlo gets slander, anybody, Fundora gets slander. I mean, Keith Thurman gets slandered. It's like anybody associated with anything to do with the PBC, they get slandered, right? As if they are the ones that only do in-house fights. As if they are the only ones that position their people for belts in position. And last time I checked, Oscar De La Hoya do it, Eddie Hearn do it, Bob Arum, they definitely do it. They got a whole terminology called top rank diet. They get the most. They get the most recruits coming out of the Olympics. So they have to have them on the top rank diet. Everybody know that top rank is like the starter pack. That's not like, if you don't know that, you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. So it's not anything bad, but the way they make it seem, they make it seem like PBC, they demonize PBC in anything they do. Any kind of negative, like the fights this weekend happened, right? None of them involved PBC. Somehow they got slandered. So I say it was an admission of guilt because Bob, when they asked him, are you doing this to combat what Turkey was doing? He say, yeah. And Bob is at an age now, I think, 92, 93, he up in his 90s now. Bob is at the age, man, you know, the older you get, the less you really care. The older you get, the less you really care what people think and how people feel. You know what I'm saying? I'm 44 and I don't care, man. Like, I do to a certain extent as far as, you know, maintaining my integrity and like standing on my character. I do. But the older you get, I could imagine when I'm 90 something years old how I would be. You know, Bob, he just don't care. So he said, yeah. So I'm like, okay, so by saying that now you're going to be willing to work with the PBC, right? You can infer that before you weren't as willing to work with the PBC, right? We can infer that, right? I went over this last night. You can infer that by now you're making a concerted effort to work with the PBC. We can reason that before you were not making a concerted effort to work with the PBC. Now, people will tell you a lot of the exceptions, right? And what were the exceptions? The exceptions were the fights that made everybody money. Everybody knew that cross-promotional, the only way it really works, right? The way it's supposed to work is when the fights make a whole lot of money. Enough money to where people don't got to bicker and argue about, okay, well, if this person win and that. No, that's the whole thing about cross-promotional. There were sides of the street. But the dilemma was somebody wanting to take charge in that old mentality that we've developed over years where in business, right, when two people shake hands and they do business, one person always, when they're walking away, one person always turns around and say, I really got that, sucker. And it's like, that should not be in business. The best business transaction should be like, just like two cars merging on and off of a ramp on a highway where they both kind of slow down, they both change lanes, and they don't really have to change much speed. Both people kind of slow down a little bit. They merge simultaneously, and everybody keeps it moving. Right? Not somebody speeding up, rushing and cutting somebody off. Not somebody almost running in the back of somebody. Not somebody almost running somebody off the ramp. You know, the way they do. We just seen one in July. The year before last, we seen one where somebody just did some crazy business, but somebody allowed it. That's all I'm going to say. The biggest fights was when the most money is on the table and both parties win, whether it's the two fighters, two promoters, you know, the whole ordeal, everything takes care of itself. Those are the best, right? So with him being said, everybody was like, oh man, everybody's all like, all right, man, they're gonna work together. Like, it's gonna be a conglomerate. And I'm like, hold on. This could have been happening. And on the low, it kind of has been happening. It's just everybody try to point at the PBC to try to say why deals don't get done instead of looking at everybody, because they all have their flies in the ointment, so to speak, right? So everybody was excited. PBC and Top Rank, they're going to be working together. And then you hear this news. You hear news about Keyshawn and the potential with De Los Santos. The people were just crapping on that fight. You know what I'm saying? They crapping on it and saying, oh man, De Los Santos, he got shoulder injury and blood clot and inactivity and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but the A side is actually picking it. How are you gonna be mad at the B side for allowing their fighter to go get an opportunity? But all the slander went to PBC because Al is setting up De Los Santos to go fight Keyshawn. Right? You see how people paint these narratives? When Keyshawn, the top ranked champion, is actually selecting that opponent. As boxing fans, we get to see a good fight. That fight is going to be muy caliente. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be hot and spicy. And the irony is that you hear about that news, you hear about Bob saying the whole PBC and Top Rank working together, but then you hear this news. You hear the news that I just played, where Bob is already saying that Loma and his back, Loma and it's many other issues, and it's up to the doctor and all this. I'm like, man, like, oh my gosh, man. Oh my goodness. They was already saying, oh man, Loma's too old and all this stuff, right? Discounting the fight after Loma had the benefit of running around having everybody in their echo chambers echo the sentiments that Tank Davis had been ducking him all that time. And I'm like, man, first of all, I didn't think Loma. Well, Devin came out when he fought Loma and said 18 months before he fought Loma that Loma was too old and too small. But however, when he finally fought him, everybody was okay with it, even though it was a close fight, right? I actually had Devin edging it. A lot of people say Loma won. I say Loma took off in the 12th, being a little bit too cocky, thinking he had it in the bag. It bit him in the eyes. So Devin get the nod. And they were just happy with that. They said, no, man, Devin don't got to rematch him, man. F him and this. I'm like, okay. So y'all going to take how Loma did Gary Russell. Okay, y'all going to take that same approach where a very, very close fight. Y'all not even going like, no pressure for no rematch. No, none of that. Okay, cool. Let's just run with that. So Devin get to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He fights him. And everybody's cool with it. No run back, no nothing, even though the decision was controversial, right? Loma goes on to stop Kambosos, right? Let's just think about that. Loma stopped Kambosos not too long ago. Nobody was talking about no age and nobody being old and all this, because when was the last time we seen Loma get a stoppage? Right? So Loma stopped Kambosos, right? But then when the Tank conversation, oh man, Tank aged him out. I was like, see, Tank will never be able to appease his haters. And that's why, like, to a certain extent, I kind of overstand some of the decisions that he makes. I overstand some of them. Some of them I'm just as puzzled as everybody else, because when it comes down to the moves that they make, it's only a selected few who truly know what they're going to do and when they're going to do it and how they're going to do it. right? The list, we don't really know who was on the list. We could suppose that Loma and Shakur and Devin and possibly a rematch with Ryan. We could pretty much suppose that maybe a Ryo was on there until Ryo got the ups, until Ryo and that whole ordeal happened with possibly a Isaac Pitbull Cruz rematch, right? So that's what 5. That's like 6-7 names right there, right? We can suppose that those were the names that would be to close out or make his run or do whatever he was going to do, right? We can kind of take an educated guess that those were some of the names, but nobody ever knows, right? And it's not like an Eddie Hearn that'll get out there and correct nothing. It's not like an Oscar De La Hoya that'll get out there and correct nothing. With PBC, people can just go full slander, right? Every now and again, you might hear a coach or whatever, but if it's not a coach that's a ham and wants to be in front of the camera and wants to take over and all that, they're not going to really like make anybody pull back on anything that they say. You can just freely slander anything that PBC do. A lot of the times, anything that Tank do, other than Tank fans or people that do content to try to support his side or give a guesstimation as to what side he's on, you just get full slander. So you never really know. Even though you have a lot of people that say, "Oh, I got an insider," or "My person told me I got this," like whatever, man. Okay, cool. Because if you know, I'm guaranteed somebody else, man, knows. Like, but this is the era we in. Tank gets slandered like all day, every day. Tank is in between a rock and a hard place. Why? It's because a lot of people have automatically jumped, and I have never seen so many Lamont Roach fans in my goddamn life. And I'm telling you, in real time, people are being so hypocritical. They're being so hypocritical. Because before the Tank fight with Roach, man, here you go, man. Look at him bringing up Roach. Now you have people saying openly, "I'm a Lamont Roach fan, man. Yeah, I'm big. And yeah, man, Tank ain't gonna be. Yeah, I got Lamont Roach knocking him out. I got Lamont Roach stopping him in the next fight." I like all kind of exaggerated BS to where they didn't even know who Lamont Roach was. A lot of them didn't even see the Hector Garcia Lamont Roach fight. A lot of them who did see it was pulling for Hector Garcia to win. And they were even online talking about they didn't think that Lamont Roach won. It's content out here on it already. But we know, we in a flip-flop era now, right? Y'all do know that we wear flip-flops, right? Not me. You know what I'm saying? Not me. I don't. I don't wear flip-flops. But a lot of people online be wearing flip-flops. Tank is at a dilemma now to where if he rematches Lamont Roach, he's ducking Loma. If he goes for the money bag and the money fight, which would be a fight with Loma, he's ducking Lamont Roach. I'm trying to tell you that one, they had already put in every time Lomachenko, the fact that Lomachenko said no, when they were talking the first time, and I want to spend time with my family, nobody cooked Loma for that. So Loma had the benefit of running around talking about Tank ducking me, Tank ducking me, Tank ducking me. Tank finally is like, all right, well, look, here go. Yeah, what's up? Let's go. I want to do family time. Nobody cooked Loma. I was already over the fight. I was already saying, man, if Tank fight him, he fight him. If he don't, he don't. You know what I'm saying? I wanted him to knock the shit out of Loma for all those years that fans had to endure all this duck talk or whatever. Just something else that they just add on that pile of shit that they heap on top of a Tank, man. So I wanted him to kick the shit out of Loma. That's just me personally. Even though, especially in the build up to the Devin fight and then seeing some of the blood sweat, like just hearing different takes and just looking overall, I do think that he's very accomplished in the sport. I just think that it was always a time when he was just a little overhyped. Not saying he wasn't ever a bad man. He was a bad man. I just thought that he was just a little overhyped. I think people just over embellished, and he was the anti to whoever they didn't like. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to go for a guy when he's the anti. That's like all these Roach fans that came out of the Clockwork. He's the anti to a fighter that they don't like. And yes, Lamont Roach is getting a lot of unnecessary hate, right? But I was already saying that, man, Tank, they ain't gonna give you no credit for Loma. They had already said before the Lamont Roach fight, all of that, when the deal came, like when it was talks about Tank wanting Loma now and them talking or whatever, they had already built in an excuse that the dude was too old and that Tank aged him out. He just stopped Kambosos, and Kambosos, he just stopped another dude, but Kambosos is getting ready to go get a title shot with Richardson Hitchens, and he ain't too old. But somehow Loma is too old. Now we hearing Bob Arum talk about his back and if he get cleared by the doctors, and it's all kinds of issues, and it's not up to Loma, it's up to the doctors. I'm like, damn, man. Tank he's in a way, other than the money, which is I think which is what he really cares about. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, what Tank is about, that bread and knocking people out. In a way, that's gonna be his solace. He gonna get a bunch of bread and he gonna be able to knock him out. The boxing world and they musty politics, it's not gonna give Tank a lot of credit for it. They already got built-in excuses for Loma. They're gonna do Tank just the same way they did. Now, Tank knock him out, that's gonna be something else. But they took away T.O.'s credit when he beat Loma because Loma wasn't 100%. He had a shoulder. Right? But they don't acknowledge like a fight that went the distance with Cruz and Tank. They don't acknowledge that he had a bad hand. It's just whatever the anti is, and they'll just give full benefit to the other side because you're anti to Tank. So I'm like, damn, if you do fight Loma, just know this, Tank, they already building in, they already caking in their excuses, man. You waited him out, he's too old. Now his neck and his back like Ezel or Kia, whatever flavor you like, neighbor. It's already built in excuses. If you go over to the Roach side and you do decide to fight Roach, here we go again. Every time this comes up, people are already pocket watching and counting Tank's money like it's like they getting some of it or something. I don't understand. I try not to get into these fighters pay and all that. I always make the joke about it's like the Joker when he said, never rub up against another man's rhubarb. I really tried not to fixate myself on another man's numbers, man. But people, when it comes down to this Roach conversation, people love to be fanagers, man. I'm like, unless you getting some of that money, man, shut STFU. Unless you getting some of the money. But if he remastered by Roach, they gonna say, here we go again. And then one of the other narratives, Roach wasn't part of the sick. What about the list? What about the list? They can care less about who their fighter's getting ready to fight. Whether they fight HVAC technician, an electrician, they don't care. They can care less. As long as he get in there and do whatever, like they care less. It's just a higher standard for Tank. So I'm thinking, damn, Tank, what do you do? I told you I asked my old head yesterday. We was having dinner. I asked him, I said, man, if you was Tank, what would you do? Would you fight Roach or would you go for Loma? He said, man, I would do what's best for the business, aka where he would get the most bread. You know, I don't know, man. I just said this. I said, look, man, when it came down to a lot of them guys at 35 who went through 35 and wound up moving up, a lot of them guys were playing, they were ducking and dodging. They were all being managed. At one point in time, Tank was being managed by Floyd. Was Floyd pulling back the reins? At times, I could say yes. At times, I could say yes. Maybe it was the maturity level. Maybe some things had to happen. Maybe Tank had to mature a little bit before he got the bigger opportunities. I do know that all the opportunities that Tank got, that was presented in front of him, he took full advantage of him to where he became a household name because of it. People be talking about how the man talk and this and that and how blah blah blah, be trying to talk about his intelligence and all that. The dude became a household name by getting out there and being must-see TV every time it was lights, camera, action. And because a lot of these guys' favorite fighter can't perform like that, they hate him. Because they wasn't getting the bag like that, they hate him. Some of it's jealousy. Some of them is like, I want some of this, I want some of that. Why y'all don't respect me like that? Why you don't talk about me like that? Because when they put your name in the title, when they put your name in the conversation, the show ain't gonna last, bro. People fall asleep when you fight, bro. It's just not something that you could just wake up and be like, I want to be like that. It's like, no, you have to be that, you know, in order to keep people enamored. Some of it's your style. Some of it's that you overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver. Try that out for a change. It's almost like what Abdullah Mason is doing. He letting his in-ring performance speak for itself. His name is still ringing bells in plenty of conversation. Is he the prototype? Is he up next? All based on his performance. And every time he get in front of the camera, he don't say nothing wild and crazy. He don't be disrespectful. I've never seen the man or heard the man say anything disrespectful. But he's on his way. And why? It's because when they yell ding, 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 he's must-see TV. Now a lot of these guys, they get out here, they feel like they got to promote themselves. They got to use some kind of gimmick. And I'm starting to see that with Top Rank, they always got some kind of gimmick. Like with Sandy Ryan and them, it was the paint. With Keyshawn and them, it was the watermelons and the bananas. It's like, why y'all always got to have some kind of gimmick over there at Top Rank? Why? And then actually leading along and making that a big part of the show. And then Michaela Mayer having the paint thing. That's why I said I'm not even touching that fight, man. Y'all noticed yesterday I ain't even touched that fight. Good job. You know, I wanted Sandy Ryan to win because I felt like she got gypped the first time. I heard Michaela Mayer did her thing. You know, I got away from it. I started watching the Tevin Farmer, and I wanted to see that main event. If it was a fight for me to watch, I wanted to see Tevin Farmer and Williams Zepeda over watching Sandy Ryan and Michaela Mayer. You know, I was big on women's boxing. I kind of got away from it because people be simping, man. People be simping, man. They be simping, man. They be simping. When it comes to watching that women's boxing, they don't keep the same energy. So I got away from it. The Shenanigans, man. Let me talk to y'all for a second, man. So let me close this out real quick, and then I'm gonna speak on the Devin Haney thing, and then I'll put the link out if anybody want to actually chop it up about some of this before I shut it down. But I had to get this out, man, because I can't do the videos I want to do right now because I've been working I've been working longer, you know. But with this Tank, man, he's in between a rock and a hard place, man. If he fight Roach, they're gonna say he ducking Loma and he ducking Shakur, right? It's just getting overplayed. It's just getting so whack, man. If he fights Loma, they're gonna say he's ducking Roach in a rematch. If he chooses anybody else, he's ducking both of them. And they came out. I guess it dawned on him that he was going to. That's why I said I thought he said what he said about Jake Paul when he was like, "Oh yeah, he's a proven fighter. He's been in the gym putting in the work." I think that Tank. I was like, "Oh man," I said, "Man, that's probably the worst thing Tank could ever say." And when people found out that it was a possible fight, to where I guess if he would have knocked Lamont Roach out, he would have fought Jake Paul. I guess people reasoning that. they was shitting on that dude, even though it was gonna make a big old bag. And y'all know I don't do novelty boxing. I don't care who my boxer is. I don't agree with novelty boxing. So I was never gonna be a supporter of him fighting Jake Paul. I don't give a fuck. I'd be happy for him that he's getting his money, but I wasn't gonna support that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not, man. I'm still not. And people say, oh man, he's doing so much for the sport and he's doing so much for women's boxing. It's like, yep. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, he can be doing a lot for women's boxing. He could be putting a lot of money in their pocket, you know, and I love it. I love it for the women's box, especially Amanda Serrano. She's one of my favorite women boxers. So I love the fact that he's putting money in their pockets, but it's novelty boxing, man. We already started going into the wrestling. We already see people talking about they carried this fighter along and they did this and that. And like, it's a slippery slope, man. When you let a YouTuber take over the sport, man, pick, choose, and refuse, and get honored because of the bags he's giving. I'm like, y'all don't realize that that's solely watering down the sport. I was never going to be for it, but let their favorite fighter have fought him. Like let a Devin Haney had said, all right, he's going to fight, you know, Jake or Logan. They'd have been off. You'd have seen a marathon, like a week-long marathon about how that's the best thing. Like let Edgar Berlanga had said he was going to fight. You would have had a week-long segment about how it's such a great business move and this and this and that. It's just different strokes for different folks. And it don't make no sense. I'm never going to advocate for novelty boxing. I'm sorry. If you happen to be one of my guys and you get in there with a Jake Paul or whatever and you make a humongous bag, I'm going to salute you for the bag, but not for the fight. So I didn't give a fuck about it no way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to see it. So Tank is he's at a dilemma, man. You are still seeing a lot of people who done turned coat on him. A lot of people with this, like this, the grass has been cut. And I think one of the best things that could have happened to Tank was this Lamont Roach fight, because you talking about poking a bear. You when they say let sleeping dogs lie, like when y'all say that, oh, he was getting in touch with his inner self and you know he was, you know, basically being domesticated and all that and going into this fight. I know that the media clippings, the newspaper clippings, all the shit that everybody's saying about him right now, I know he's gonna, the next person that come out and fight Tank, whoever it be, if it's gonna be Roach in June, if it's gonna be Loma, if Loma pop out of the woods or wherever he been camping out at with his family in the tent, down by the lake, whoever pop out next, Tank is gonna knock their head off in the fucking stands, and I love it. I love it. Y'all should have let him. Y'all should have let him become domesticated. Y'all should have let him get more and go through the therapy and do all of that. I think y'all caught him at the right time. He see the snakes in the grass because the grass has been cut. And then when you got somebody like Bud, who every fucking interview, all he got to do is talk about Tank. It's disgusting. Every time they get the microphone in front of Shakur, he talking about Tank. It's disgusting. Every time Shakur goes on an interview, it's disgusting. Then you got Lamont Roach, who it's his time to shine. He got a right to promote himself. He did do what a lot of people didn't think he was going to be able to do. So now he's talking. He the only one I think got a right to really be saying something. To really be actually being able to be out there in the mess hall with his chest out. Why? Because he did what a lot of people were scared to do. They pump fake like they was trying to get in there with him, but they didn't. Lamont Roach, in my opinion, just caught Tank when he had too much respect for you, bro. I think all that respect is evaporated. And I think it's the best thing that could happen to Tank. I think y'all woke up. I think y'all woke the young man up, man. I can't wait to hear from him. I can't wait to see what message and what's happening. But I know he can't wait to get back in there so he can knock somebody's head off in the fucking stand and ask y'all and tell y'all to stop playing. You know, especially when you got somebody like Bud who can't even sell his own self. He got to use Tank name every goddamn interview. Shakur, every goddamn interview. Keyshawn, every goddamn interview. It's disgusting. Listen, I told y'all, man. I said that the Haneys are their own worst enemy, man. And I'm like, man, I feel bad for Devin, man. I feel bad for Devin, bro. Because they need an intervention over there, man. They need an intervention over there, man. I'm like, listen, when it come down to Devin, right? I heard the craziest shit in the world, man. And this is gaslighting. This is gaslighting at its finest. So I'm watching TBV. I'm watching Norman Sr. on there, and he's talking, and he's giving his rundown on the fight and talking about his son and everything. And he was just giving the background, like talking, like you could hear, man, how proud he was as a father of his son. And he actually said management. He stepped back from management. Not step back, but Norman Jr. You know what I'm saying? Basically have a manager and the guy that they got running it, and he kind of taking, the father. He still has his say, but he's not up for that. And Brian Norman is becoming his own man. You know what I'm saying? He's making decisions as his own, right? He's allowing his father to talk, but then he's saying, listen, I have my own voice, you can talk to me. And I'm thinking that was one of the best moves he made. And I kind of seen when it happened, because a while ago, I seen Norman Sr. talking, and I was like, man, I want to hear more from Norman Jr. And when I heard from Norman Jr., I said, oh man, people gonna like the way he present himself, man. If you ever been down there to Atlanta, and you know how they like, especially when you down there with, like I said, my bro down there, my brother is down there. But I'm listening to the interview. I'm watching the interview, and this is like, he's trying to break some information. He's trying to break forward that somebody wants some sparring. And the back and forth was like, Senior was like, oh no. He's like, oh no. He's like, man, that might be a potential opponent or whatever. That was his first reaction. Then he's like, they was like, well, can I say who it is, or you gonna say who it is? He's like, nah, I'm not gonna say. He's like, man, if I talk to my son, he probably wouldn't want me to say it. He's like, why my son probably would ask me, well, why you want to say it? That ain't about nothing. Like, why, long story short, he said that his son had already said that Brian Norman Jr. had already came out of his mouth and said that I'm not gonna be no sparring partner to nobody. He said, I'm not gonna be no sparring partner to nobody, right? He's a champion, right? He's coming into his own. He's building his own thing. So I understand. So Ness is like, can I say it? Or, do you mind? He's like, man, listen, you know who it is. Senior was like, listen, you know who it is. I mean, I don't. It came out that Devin Haney and them. Devin Haney or somebody from Team Haney reached out trying to get some sparring from Brian Norman Jr. If y'all believe that this man really wanted to get some sparring from Brian Norman Jr., I got some beachfront property in Missouri that you can have. Send me your information. And I will get that to you. Like, you gotta have fallen off of a turnip truck, literally, onto your fucking head, if you really think that a smart decision would be. Now let's just say Brian Norman Jr. didn't have that mindset, like, I'm not gonna be a sparring partner to nobody. Let's just say he didn't have that mindset. At this date and time, yeah, I know that Devin wants to prove that he is ready for a left hook, or he is ready to be able to take a power puncher. If he was ready for that and he was moving to the division, why didn't he just challenge him for a strap? Why would you be putting out these smoke signals? That's dumb as hell. If you really believe that, I feel for you, bro. If you really believe that Devin Haney really wanted Brian Norman to come in there for some sparring, like that was legit and not a bona fide clout chase, I feel for you. I feel sorry for you. You will believe anything. Anything. First of all, if Brian Norman Jr. didn't have the mindset that he had where he wasn't just going to be a sparring partner to nobody, Brian Norman Jr. would knock Devin's head off in the gym. He wouldn't even make it to the fight. That's why I say, man, I don't know. I really don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with these dudes, man. Devin, it's time to get like some professional help. Like I'm talking about professional. Go grab a Kevin Cunningham, even though he like a southpaw whisperer. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I think it's just time to go. I think it's time to go up to another level, man. Whoever's advising and making these decisions and trying to do this. Now, this could have got a lot more sloppy, a lot more messier, right? But if you really believe that it would have been a good idea, sparring or not, that would have been a good idea for Brian Norman Jr. to go in there and allow him to tee off on Devin in the sparring with headgear or not. You crazy. You crazy. That's like clout chasing 101, man. Like, why in the middle of his interview for them to bleep and blurt that out and slip that out like that? It's clout chasing. Brian Norman Sr. and them couldn't have their moment without dusty ass Bill or whatever, whoever came up with that concocted plan, as if they was going to really allow. If they were just going to really allow Brian Norman, that they really wanted him to come in for some sparring. Tomorrow is April. The fight is in May. You really think that's a good idea? If you believe that, man, I feel sorry for you, man. The clout chasing need to stop, and whoever, man, that's ill-advised to have anybody like that go in there and spar Devin. Like Devin, oh my goodness, man. Devin, it's time to level up, man, and get some professionals, man. I'm talking about some legit professionals. Keep your father in the capacity of being able to do some promoting or whatever, but it's time to get some professionals, bro. It's time to get a PR team. It's time to get some strategic planners around you that's been in the sport, in and around the sport. You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of people have flocked over there to Reynoso and them. A lot of people flocked to Robert Garcia and them. It's plenty of people out here in the field, man, that can help you and advise you. But that would have been the dumbest shit that ever happened, man. Because if Brian Norman Jr. would have been one of them guys, like if he would have been a real cruddy dude, man, he could have went in there and broke your jaw. He could have went in there and be like, yeah, I'm going to dial it back. Yeah, it's just sparring, whatever, and crack the shit out you. And that fight would never happen and ruin you, man. I don't know who's advising him. I just think it's the dumbest shit in the world, man. Devin needs some real professional help. He needs PR team, and he needs somebody that's going to strategically plan, and he needs a governor for his father, man. Because I can only imagine that was some PR stunt that Bill said, hey, man, call and let it be known that, yeah, Devin wanted him to come in, knowing damn well he don't want no Brian Norman Jr. going in and spar with him. At this point in time. But I thought that was just crazy. I told they are their own worst enemy, man. Inside and out, from clout chasing to the decision making to the things that they say, the disrespect, the hypocrisy. Talking about they wanted to go in there and unalive Ryan, and now talking about, man, we could lose our life in there and all this, and then having Clarissa Shields back that musty shit. Like, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy, man. I don't get it. Bill, salute. AC, salute. Bodywork boxing, salute. Broham, these ninjas never hold the same energy for all Tank's contemporaries. So Tank got you. Just knock them down one by one so they can change the narratives that they will use. Yep. I used to hold the belief that they all should fight one another, but these ninjas only hold that the Tank. So from here on out, I only care about Tank fighting them all to shift the narrative. Right. From cherry pick to legendary skull knockout artist. Big facts. But that being said, 7-9 in the rematch, KO by Tank. I feel you. I feel you, Thomas Hill. Thanks for the contributions, bro. Yeah, man, they don't keep the same energy. It's like, to me, it's like I stopped addressing each and every one of them because it made me seem like I was like a Tank defender. It's just like, nah, man, y'all don't keep the same energy. They never do. They never do, man. But that's the link. But if y'all believe that, man, hey, power to you. What up, AC?
What's good, bro? What's good, man?
Powder. What's up with you, man?
Oh, everything, man. You know what I'm saying? I missed a jump off last night, but at the end of the day, man, how do I say this? You know, when it's one of those situations where you just put your hand over your face and you rub your eyebrows and, you know, you rub your chin as a man and scratch up under your chin and shit like that. And rub the bottom of your chin like real aggressively and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those situations where it's like the Haneys are like a problem child. Like, you know how smart your child is, but your child can't just go to school and follow the rules and get the A. Nigga, right. you could be in the advanced classes. You feel what I'm saying? But this dumb motherfucker goes to the girl's bathroom, take his dick out, and stand right in front of the fucking door. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You feel what I'm saying? That's like the Haneys. Because you get 2 steps forward and then you do some shit that takes you 5 steps back. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like people were just talking about you in the sense of boxing. Just keeping it about what you'll do in the ring. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. There were people out here defending you that I seen who are that are not fans of Devin Haney, but was defending him based on how it appeared the attack was when they was asking Dev about his chin. Meanwhile, there's other people up there that been knocked the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? So people thought that was a weird question. So you had a tiny bit of energy behind you. And then you do this publicity stunt. It doesn't do anything for you.
Like what? Like AC, I'm just keeping it, but because like, dude, I genuinely feel bad. I genuinely feel bad for Devin, bro. I genuinely, I'm like, man, like I know that I would put on a lot of things and I would go hard, whatever. And every time he made me eat crow or every time he did something right, I was sure to be one of the first people to say, hey, I was wrong about that. Or I applaud him for doing this and give him his credit when it's due. But do you? Well, would you? This is the question. Do you think it would be prudent to allow, let's just say Brian Norman Jr. was a cruddy dude. Do you believe it would have been wise to bring him into a camp?
At this stage, no, because he's a true 47 pounder. You're coming up, Devin Haney. You feel what I'm saying? Whether or not you feel the training you was getting from people helped you defend that left hook, that's not a good look, and it wouldn't be a good look for Brian Norman. I mean, you're a champion now. You don't do that sparring shit. That's not what you do. You bring in the sparring people.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying?
Bingo. So I had to deduct that it was a publicity stunt. I said, man, like, I'm like, y'all got, see, I said, man, they are very creative in getting the narrative out there. They are really, but I'm like, man, if you just contorted that your brain just a little bit, like, you're very clever and strategic in what you do, but it's like it's off, it's 100 miles in the wrong direction. If you just did an about face with that same creativity and a narrative in a different direction, you wouldn't have to deal with this stuff. But I just had to say something about that. I was like, it had to be a publicity stunt.
Yeah, for sure. Now here's my thing. Jin Sasaki is in the States. If you'd have brought in a Jin Sasaki to do that, everybody would have loved that. Like, oh, and it gives Jin Sasaki a lot of credibility. So you're bigging up a fighter, you feel what I'm saying? And you're also showing that, yeah, this is a tough up-and-coming dude, so this is exactly who I need to bring in to test my chin. Boom, he's at that level of a sparring partner for a champion or a former champion, however you want to put it. It's just playing the strategic game properly, like you said before. As far as feeling sorry for Dev and things like that, I've said this probably about a year and a half ago, and it's just one of those situations where you're on a panel. Nobody deals with Dev like that. You're the only person, and you say that he needs to just put Bill in the background. Let you speak for you. You're the champion. You can't cash checks Bill's mouth, writing. You feel what I'm saying? I doubled and tripled down on it when we got that performance. We got, the night it happened. Not speaking hindsight. The night it happened. The fight we saw that night. Mm-hmm. The strategy we saw that night. It was like, this is what I didn't want you to do, bro. I didn't want you to get up and walk straight back into this dude. Because you're not a knockout guy. You're a boxer. Box. All the odds said you box him, you beat him.
Mm-hmm. It was evident from the second to the sixth round. But this was something that we had saw some remnants of it in the Loma fight when he went back to the corner. It was like, Daddy, I think he figured me out, and Bill ain't have no counsel. Now we hear a lot of people roast Bozy. We hear a lot of people roasting Bozy for it. We heard a lot of people roasting Derrick James in the Jamel Charlo fight. Yeah. They always roast the coaches in the corner for, like, oh man, I ain't hear nothing that blah blah blah. But like Bill, it's like a bubble around him. You saying things like, oh, there you go, hating on the black father. Well, they roast T.O. They don't say nothing like that. They go full bore on T.O. when you hear that bad counsel that Senior be giving him. It's like it's a bubble around Devin and Bill, to where anything you say critical, people get to whining and crying about. But we saw it in the Lomachenko fight when he said, Dad, I think he figured me out. And Bill ain't have nothing really to come back with.
I was screaming at the joint like, Bill, what? Whoa, Dad. This should let you know right now. Your dad took you to the highest level. I mean, right after the Loma fight to try to go to a next high level skilled boxer or fighter, even a skilled puncher like that, you would have got stopped. Thank God Regis just wasn't that guy. You feel what I'm saying? Regis was kind of sort of tailor made for you coming up to 140, and you took full advantage of everything, loopholes and all. You feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we all, I had a discussion the other night about boxers cheating, all boxers or whatever. I said, listen, if I know the speed limit is 70 miles an hour, why would I drive on a highway going 55? Am I not going to push myself up to 69, 68, somewhere between 68 and 70? If that's the limit, yeah, anything to give me the edge to winning the fight. You feel what I'm saying? This is why they use supplements and all of this other shit, because you're pushing the limit up to the speed limit. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, bro, I just look at it like this. Devin, as a fan of yours, your career's worst enemy is your dad at this point, because your dad feels he's the star and he's not the star. The mouth of the South routine worked out in the beginning, coming up, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, but now that you've arrived, now it's time to dial it back a little bit, be more strategic about it, think of the brand and the business first. And that's, when you clout chase and you do stupid shit like that, that's what fucks up the brand and the business. So
I kind of like the thought of the Mickey Bay situation. I don't know why he can't step into like a full capacity with his father, almost like how Norman Sr. said. He said, man, I still have some input because that's my son. He's like, but Junior, he's handling this and that. I'm like, I don't know why, like a Mickey Bay, because it seemed like Mickey Bay really resonate with him. He understands him. He feels like he knows how to get through to him. He speaks highly of him. He doesn't say anything outrageous. He does promote him, but like, and he has experience in the ring. Like he was a champ. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, he got that short video of working out with Mickey Bay that seemed to turn up all the Devin Haney fans, got us all excited and everything. Like, oh, that's what's up. All right, so let's see what he look like when he come back. Then we never see nothing else. We see him with Tunde over in the UK. So it was like, what happened there? What happened with the guy that was what happened to the Floyd Mayweather dude and Mickey? Like, what are you doing? I don't want to see clips of you bouncing around. I want to see clips of you grounding yourself, plant roots, get in the gym, be a part of that gym, follow the program of that gym, and follow the guidance of what your trainers are trying to do for you. So I don't know. He on some weird shit. But I hope it all just comes together when he get in the ring.
yeah, when I say feel bad, it's just like, man, I know I wasn't always the biggest fan. I do think that I give him legitimate advice, and I'm like, man, I could see this just going bad. Like it's just like they can't get out of their own way. I'm not gonna keep kicking them. I just saw that was a publicity stunt from a mile away. I wanted to get you to chime in on that. But what do you think about this quagmire that Tank is in, to where Bob Arum's already talking about Loma's back, his neck and his back, all this crazy stuff and all these like built-in excuses because they're already saying he's old. It's like Tank is in the catch-22 because if he fight Roach, he ducking Loma. If he fight Loma, he ducking Roach. No matter what, he's ducking Shakur.
Yeah.
And Shakur ain't ducking nobody, and nobody will fight him. But what do you think about this situation Tank is in?
The the situation with Tank, at I kind of feel like at it would be really weird for me to sit there and actually be able to stay listening to that content creator or whatever if I found someone who's saying that Tank in a rematch would be ducking Loma when they was talking about Lamont fighting Shakur. It was like, why would he do that? Because why would he do that and not handle his finished business with Shakur? I mean, with Lamont Roach. You are a person saying that, but maybe not to the degree where I'm saying it. But basically, people are screaming for him to get his get back and prove that that's a fluke and everything. So even people who don't like Tank are not saying Tank shouldn't rematch him. You feel what I'm saying? So then to say he ducked Loma when Loma walked away from the fight in the first place, that's how we got to Shakur. It's like, yeah, y'all just on some weird shit, man, that just don't make no sense, because you can't duck a dude who walked away in the beginning when you were actually in negotiations and then was threatening to walk away because he said he wanted more money. You give him more money. Then he walks away because now he's like, well, you know what? Yeah, that's more money, but I want to spend time with my family first. So it's like, damn, this man jumped through hoops to try to make the Tank fight, and where y'all talk about, but the A side gotta try to make the fight. Okay, so then you want to quote Tom Brown when it's convenient for you. You want to quote Bob Arum when it's convenient for you. So let's quote Tom Brown and Bob Arum and saying it's up to the fighters. The fighters don't want to fight. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, bro, you can't. How do you hold this man and say he ain't trying to fight nobody? I'm on a panel with a dude and he keeps saying over and over again, that's just what he do. Let him go fight Jake Paul because he don't want to fight nobody. I'm like, so didn't he just go try to fight Loma and Shakur? Yeah, but he still ain't trying to fight nobody. Oh, so Loma and Shakur are nobodies. All right, cool. All right. Then 2 seconds later, you talking about how great Loma and Shakur are. Whoa. I think it's just, that type of hate is just subconscious. You feel what I'm saying? It's just subconscious. It's something built into your mentality to whereas you'll say something negative about Tank and Tank not doing X, Y, and Z, but then knowing that he tried to make big fights and the guys didn't want to take the fights or whatever, and then you bring up the A side, and then you bring up Shakur being the A side to certain things. Oh, that's different. Oh, he didn't want to take the fight. Why should he? That man knows his value. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, all right, yeah. I love those excuses.
Well,
Go ahead.
I thought you were gonna get on here yesterday, but I know you have been accused of
being an aerosexual.
Eurosexualism. I was like, well, I felt like Loma. Welcome to my club. Now you was accused of Eurosexualism.
Yeah.
I said, man, like, do you ever realize that the same people that would say something like that, you could say that they're sexual over another fighter? Like, it'd be the main ones where they just gawk over everything that this dude do, but we're the Eurosexualists.
Yeah, because I'm explaining them in real time and they keep saying, no, that don't matter. You keep going by to trying to use a statement that what's the name said, just to refresh everybody in this audience. I said I was asked, do I think Errol Spence ducked Bud Crawford in the rematch? And I was like, hell no. Why would he do that? If y'all talking about all the money that was supposed to be there and everything else, Why would he do that? No, because the contract said, and let me bring up this article, and the article is talking about the contract. And I said, yeah, but there's an interview with Bud talking to this dude, and he's telling the guy that either one of them could do it. No, the contract, look at what the article say. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what the article say. Like, the article can't be wrong. The article can't be a hit job. Like, that's not how journalism works at times. Because I could tell you, you know, and I was searching and blah blah blah, and then I'm trying to text the dude to be like, yo, I can't put the shit in your chat. Long story short, that's why I was accused, because I said there is no way that Errol Spence ducked the Terrence Crawford rematch. I said they had network issues, which once you lose your network in a multi-million-dollar contract, if you fuck with contracts at any level, that's grounds for that thing to be renegotiated. Mm-hmm. And then there was the rumors where Bud was saying he wanted more money.
And initially he was saying what for?
Yeah.
He was like, rematch for what? Like, it's like, because that was one of the biggest fights in boxing, and obviously, you know, maybe Earl, well, whatever. It's like, it was one of the biggest fights. We wanted to see it, but it was no accountability. It was no,
yeah.
It was just exactly, like, and that's why I say, like, with certain people, like I'm seeing that with Shakur, Keyshawn, Bud, them guys, they could do whatever, and their people just gonna get behind them, like, yeah, and forget what they did yesterday or last week or last year, or what they said yesterday or last week or last year. It's like, nah, but now, though, right now, it's like, no, but that's not how it works, because we don't keep the same energy across the board.
Exactly, and it's like, that's why I kept on every panel, I keep bringing up the word accountability, because that's a word that's being used a lot these days when it comes down to Shakur fans and Tank haters. Accountability. So I'm like, okay, let's talk accountability. You feel what I'm saying? Let's talk that, because if we're gonna talk accountability, let's keep it across the board. And those of us up here who are Terrence Crawford fans, let's keep it a bean. Let's hold him accountable for some of the shit that he's doing. You feel what I'm saying? It's not your fucking place to tell anybody, whether it's your opinion or not, you know, whether or not somebody's going to make it into the Hall of Fame. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
like,
and all I was saying, look,
that's your biggest win to date. No, but he fighting Canelo. That's not an absolute. What if William Skull win? Or what if Canelo just say, nah, fuck the Bud fight?
But, and we don't, and to my knowledge, man, that ain't even etched in stone. But my question was, you see how my question just got glazed over? Like, my question was, you tell me one fight, since we play the accolade, because with some fighters, accolades mean everything, and the names you fought or the people that you fought and everybody know and the battles you've been through, they don't mean anything. So I noticed that when it comes down to Bud and Shakur, accolades is king. So I said, you tell me where Bud fought one person and got 3 belts. The closest thing that came up was a Leonard Bundu, and there was only 2 belts. I said, so if accolades is king, that don't match you fighting one time for 3 belts. The only person that could trump that is what Devin did. And it was chaos. It was like nobody can get their point across, and it's all these mixed signals, and basically I'm being a troublemaker, basically. But I'm like, you can't answer that question, and by definition, if you fight one person and get 3 straps, that's not only your biggest payday, that's not only the biggest fight, but that's where you got the majority of the accolades, because that was the highest weight where you unified, not where you went to go get Madrimov for one, when you moved up and got 1 strap. That was the highest weight that you fought at, that you were able to not only unify, undispute, and get 3 straps. And that don't mean anything. Like, Earl don't mean anything. That's why I say that argument, man, I'm so tired of having that argument because it sounds dumb.
Yeah, now here's the thing. This will fuck them up, because this is something that I sat there and thought about, and it came up. The thought rehashed in my mind when I was listening to the talking points behind the Brian Norman Jr. fight as soon as he got in the ring. And they was like, as soon as he got out of the ring, they was like, yeah, you did it, champ. You did it. You solidified you solidified your championship. They say you ain't the true champ until you defend the belt. Okay. So at 47, out of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford defended the WBO belt. Okay. Errol Spence defended 3 other belts. Who would you hold in higher regard? The guy defending 3 belts, or the guy going after getting the belts and then defending them, as opposed to the guy who just got the 1 belt and just whatever?
No, that's different, AC, because just accolades, you trying to take away from what he did. He was undisputed at 140.
And that's exactly what I'll hear. Oh, this dude, man, you come on, man. How you gonna be on that Errol Spence shit like that? And it's like, what do you mean? I'm just asking a question. Because, yeah, and technically, once he became undisputed at 140 and undisputed at 47, he never defended that undisputed title. So can you really, according to the way we talk, you ain't the true champ until you whatever. What are we saying? At least Canelo got defenses of his undisputed. You feel what I'm saying? Bivol and Peterviev got their defenses of well basically 1 defense, and it's 50-50. So it is what it is. So you feel what I'm saying? You can make the argument that you got it in the 1 fight, but you didn't show us at 47 you were truly that guy.
That's just some of the things that I say all the time. And see, people will make you point that out. And when you actually illustrate that and communicate that to everybody, then you're a hater. But it's just different. That's why I say, man, you got to guard yourself in the conversations. And you got to watch where you at and who you hanging with and what the agenda is. Because a lot of the time the agenda is not to have productive boxing talk. It's really to just have a sword fight.
And I'm a person that'll say this on the backbone of saying that. At the end of the day, for me, as far as a fighter with accolades and what they've done, for me, I have Bud Crawford as my #1 all-time greatest fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Based on his accolades. Because ain't nobody done shit that he did yet. So that's I can comfortably say that and make a strong argument for that. You feel what I'm saying? But when it comes down to these other things that says, all right, you got the accolades, but did you defend these accolades like that? And from my understanding, the only belt he ever really defended was his WBO.
Yeah, I mean but to me it's I give credit to the accolades because that's what puts you in the annals of history.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the times, like when you in real time, when you know what's going on and you stay abreast of the climate of boxing and you know who's moving how and how they're moving, it's a little more to it than just the accolades.
Exactly.
It's like you can't use just the accolade to wipe out everything because I got videos up where a man was saying, I don't know if I want that fight. That fight is behind me, and stringing this man out knowing that all he's really waiting on is either for somebody, he wants to unify all of the belts. Somebody got to go. It's what I kept saying for years. I said, well, if you got that 1 strap and somebody got to go collect the other 2, why y'all not trying to do like what they're trying to say about Brian Norman now? Like how they saying, well, maybe it'd be a good idea if he try to get the Barrios so that when they come together, it'll be 2 and 2, and then the ring will be there, added on. So it'd be like, boom. It's like there was never no desire, all because of the accolades you got at the lower weight class, but you didn't go do a Jamel Charlo. But see, but in the same conversation, they'll dismiss everything that Jermell Charlo did when he went out and picked them one by one by one.
One by one by one.
But
And
he
took a
gets no
loss.
credit. He gets
he
no.
took a
Oh, that was a
loss
weak
in that
division. Oh
room.
man, look at this, man. Nah, man, like that can't top on. It's
Yeah,
like, but then,
I'm like-
but then after the Earl, you said you was gonna fight him, and after the fight, after he went up and dared to be great against Canelo, you said, nah, man, I don't want to fight him. He lost. Like what?
What, he lost before then? You was
He
gonna
lost
fight him
before
when he
then.
hadn't lost before. I mean,
He had a draw and a loss before, like so.
Exactly.
It's just
So,
it's just
like-
different. So
like-
all undisputeds are not the same,
Yeah.
and the way people get undisputed are not the same. That's why I take the accolade game with a grain of salt,
But
because
see, I'm gonna keep it a beam with you. I use the accolade game and that argument to just piss somebody off solely. I know it's a bullshit argument at its core, but I'll just say it just to get man, how you gonna you feel what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I'm going to do that to sidebar it and try to win an argument on the semantic. You feel what I'm saying? But if I allowed to try to argue the deep dive into the accolades, then my argument starts to look a little shaky. And I know that. You feel what I'm saying? That's why it could be like, for this era, and I try to keep a lot of things concerning just this boxing era. You know what I'm saying? We don't have those guys that were giving us just on the average 3-4 fights a year. That's just how they rolled. You feel what I'm saying? When you were a megastar, then you fighting basically twice a year. But everybody else, you fighting at least 3 times a year because you need that money.
yeah. And just the last thing, man, before I let you close it out. This is the last thing I'm gonna bring up. When it comes down to, because they make it seem like Tank and Shakur are in like 2 totally different worlds. And they bring up all Shakur's accolades, and I'm like, it's really not much of a difference other than Shakur unified. He unified, and that's a knock on Tank that he never unified. But I'm like, look at the climate and look at what's going on. Because when you ask somebody what's Shakur's biggest win, they'll have to say Oscar Valdez,
Which is
like,
are you kidding me?
Exactly. So it's like the accolade thing is like, it's good because it as far as the hardware and you being able to show your children this and this and that, yeah, I mean it counts. And I mean, in some people's path, like what Bivol, like how Bivol got it and how he got waited out, and
those accolades is going that's rock solid. That's solid gold right there. That's a mountain.
Yeah, the way Jermell, and that's why I say, man, listen, that's why I always say, man, I tell people all the time, miss me with that legacy / accolade shit when y'all shit on Earl when he went out and unified 3 straps and got played do-si-do with for the last one, and then boom, he got sparked, right? But you don't give Jermell no respect. Even people still shit on Inoue. Inoue went back-to-back undisputed.
Yeah.
And he moved up. He's in his 5th weight class, getting ready to be in his 6th weight class if he move up. Mm-hmm. So it's like people pick and choose when they want to play the accolade game, and then when you start deep diving, and it's, oh man, well, what are you getting at? Like, I knew this is just all, and then they want to wipe away the whole conversation because the agenda is not to really have comprehensive, effective boxing talk. It's really to just sweat whoever it is you trying to push. You know what I'm saying? That's all it really is.
Exactly. And I'm gonna say it like this, just to end things off. I'm a person who's a huge Terrence Crawford fan. I'm a person that's a big Devin Haney fan. You feel what? I'm a big Errol Spence fan and a big Tank fan as well. I used to be a big Shakur fan, but it's just things after things after things. You're not who you're telling people you are. You're a hell of a boxer, but I don't know how good you really are because you refuse, just the same way I previously was complaining about Jaron Ennis. You're not giving me that 50-50 fight. Jaron Ennis right now is putting himself in a position where I will respect Jaron Ennis far more than I will respect the Shakur Stevenson movement to date, because I was a big fan of Boots. Then he disappointed me with some of those ducks, and I was like, why would you duck these guys to give me a Lipinets? Like, the fuck does that, like, come on, Boots. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he's giving me that fight right now with the Stanionis. I have it as a 50-50 fight. You know, I think it's a great step up for me. Even though it's a unification, it's still a step up in competition basically for both of these guys. So it should be pretty interesting. As far as what Shakur's doing these days, it's like, give me that. Because you're telling me you're a pay-per-view star and your fans are saying he don't deserve to be on nobody's undercard or co-main, but you just fought a guy who's an electrician, a full-time electrician named Patty. And y'all out here clipping and, oh, look at this fantastic body work from Shakur. Yeah, Corey's back. Corey's back. Yeah. Watch Tank look at this footage and get scared. You feel what I'm saying? Or for Patty? For real? Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, I would like to see Shakur in a real fight and let me see him go through some real adversity and let me see what he does. Until then, I'm still gonna be mad hard on him. You know what I'm saying? Win, lose, or draw. Let me see Jerron Booth's performance. You perform like a champ. You lose your strap. You win the strap. I'm gonna respect you. So that's kind of where it is. And concerning Bud, like I said, when it comes down to the accolade game, you're the number one fighter for me in the world. Just don't start to get weird because you're coming into this stardom right now, to whereas the things you say have weight. Because just this thing you said about Errol Spence lit the internet on fire. Everybody's trying to do a show to whereas they're saying, is Errol Spence a Hall of Famer or not? And all of this other stuff, and it's like, why are you asking that when you're not the person that's going to be voting on that? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't Bud's place to say that. You know?
Yeah.
That's where that's kind of where I leave that. You know what I'm saying? Bud, don't diminish your best win, the thing that made you famous like this, because all your other wins and all the other accolades didn't mean shit compared to what you got, the bounce you got, and the energy you got off the Errol Spence win.
Yep. Well, good points, man. As always, good level-headed talk, man. Be strong out here. Remember, gaslighting is at an all-time high, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Well, I'll kick it with you later, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, there you have it. AC, man. AC, man. Always level-headed, man. Funny. He be having some of the craziest analogies, but I'll leave everybody with this, man. This is this sport is a what have you done for me lately sport. And if you go with one of my guys, let's go with Tank. Tank had a draw with a champion that moved up, who is naturally bigger in size and stature than he is. So that was his last fight. He got a draw with a champion. He wound up sparking Frank Martin, who was a rising contender, knocking on the door for a title shot. He wound up sparking Frank Martin. He actually did a bid. That was another victory. It was a short bid, but a bid nevertheless. And he stopped Ryan Garcia. When you look at Shakur Stevenson, he went 9 rounds with a guy whose occupation, because a lot of people don't really like the truth, his occupation at the time was an electrician. He since then had made enough money to where he can go pro, but at the time he was an electrician. He went the distance with a Haratunian, and he set a record low punches landed in a fight with Edwin De Los Santos. Think about that. So when you want to be all emotional about what your fighter did and who's this and who's ducking that and who's who in boxing, just remember these things when you're talking and discussing this stuff in dialogue, right? Keep the same energy. Keep that same A-side energy where Earl was expected as the A-side to do X, Y, and Z, where Tank is expected as the A-side to do X, Y, and Z. But when your fighter is the A-side to whoever it is, why is he not expected to do X, Y, and Z? Why is he not expected to send out a contract and make a fight happen? Because it's different strokes for different folks. And I hope Devin roll with Mickey Bay and he get a PR team, man. They stop this publicity stuff. I hope Tank make the right decision, whether or not it's going to be Lamont Roach, because there's rumors that it is going to be Lamont Roach in June. But I've also heard people out here talking about, well, only people that want to see that is the people from his hood who don't want him to do this. Like, all this dumb shit, man. Dumb shit. That's a Floyd move, man. When people thought that he might have lost or it was even or they wanted him to verify that that's what it was, he went back and righted that wrong. I think y'all did more than poke a bear. You know how they say let sleeping dogs lie? I think y'all woke a dog up in Tank that he might have been trying to third P away or something, man. But I think that the respect he has for Lamont Roach has evaporated. And whoever gets in that ring with Tank the next time, I feel bad for him, man. He gonna try to make an example off of somebody, man. He might go full penitentiary. Those are just my thoughts and my ideas, man. Hopefully you have some kind of nutritional value. You know, remember, gaslighting is at an all-time high. If you catch this on the playback, talk to me. I'll talk back. This is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie. That fact-based content, not opinion-based. Are there already built-in excuses for Lomachenko when he gets inside the ring? Are they going to say, oh, he's too old and all he had back issues and all he was inactive when he just stopped Kambosos not too long ago? When Berlanga could come out and fight a dude who got locked up in 2014 and got out in 2024, he can get washed the same way Jermell Charlo did, who was undisputed at 54, and Berlanga has never had a title, but he gets praised and get a parade. Different strokes for different folks. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.